guest is John Ridenauer, who is the budget counselor at Southwest Community Church. Welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
And Everett is also with us. Thanks for coming in, Everett.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We're here today to talk about the upcoming Financial Peace University that Southwest is sponsoring for the community. Everybody is invited to turn out, and you guys are having a free preview night. So we wanted to learn more about this program and introduce it to the community. But before we get to that, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your involvement with the Dave Ramsey program?
All right, well, I've been married to my wife, Bridget, for about 10 years. We have 3 children, Cameron, who's 9, Everett, who's 7, and I have a little girl, Reese, who's 5. And we were just like every other married couple, you know. We came into our marriage with a little bit of debt, you know, who doesn't, you know.
Right.
It's just like, you know, a little car debt, little family loan, you know, home equity line of credit, things like that.
Right.
And it just, with our marriage, it just started to escalate. You know, trying to keep up with the Joneses and everybody else that we were having friends with.
Right.
And so it got to a point that creditors started to call us a little bit more frequently. And so my wife, she came to me, and I never liked to do the bills. I just wasn't good at it, and she took it over from day one. And so eventually we just got to the spot that it was like, John, I'm freaking out, I'm scared, I need your help. You need to help me out with this. And neither one of us came from families that shared how to deal with money, and you don't learn it in school and things like that.
Right.
So I knew we needed some resources. And so I read Dave Ramsey's book, and I'm like, wow, this is really helpful. And shortly after that, our church offered a Financial Peace University, a Dave Ramsey 13-week class. Okay. And we're like, this is perfect. We just read his book. Let's get into it. And so during the course of that and handling our money God's way, things started to kind of change around for us, and God started to bless us in different ways. And so doing that, it started to improve our marriage. That was probably the most important thing. But going through there, we were able to learn how she handles money differently than I do. And so we were able to get on a budget and start trying to save and start taking some of that fear that we had from not knowing how to deal with our creditors.
Right.
And so during the process of the class, we were able to get rid of some of our debt and to build friendships with other people that had gone through the class that we're still friends with. And there's not too many times you get to kind of deal with your faith and finances with just, you know, anybody. You don't share it with people at work and things like that. So this class was very helpful in that regard. And then as we went through, I realized God was kind of laying it on my heart, like, this is something I want you to look into, John. And so when the class wrapped up, I ended up volunteering to facilitate the next class. And so now I'm getting ready to facilitate my 4th class. And so I've done it several times. It's the 5th class that Southwest Community Church has offered. And as we went through that, I was starting to help people budget. And just part of the Dave Ramsey program. And so doing that, the church was like, hey, John, we don't really have any budget counselors here. We have, you know, marriage ministries and things like that. Is there something that Dave Ramsey has? And so they ended up actually sending me back to Tennessee, and I ended up being trained by Dave and his team on the process that they use on budget counseling.
On helping families.
And so I'm a Dave Ramsey financial coach, certified budget counselor. There's about 1,000 of us in the United States.
Great.
And the last time I checked, I was the only one here in Coachella Valley. So we get people that come from, we've had families that we've helped from Banning, Beaumont, Yucca Valley, people that actually come out because we're the nearest ones to them.
Okay.
And so,
and this is a free resource to the community. If somebody's watching and saying, you know, I need help and I don't even know where to turn, or I'm newly married and my husband and I have no idea what to do or where to begin, you know, that would be something that they could contact you and say, hey, help, we need some help.
Absolutely.
Okay. And probably the first thing you'd say is, well, let's look at getting you into Financial Peace University.
And that's why we offer the preview class. It's a free class for them to kind of come and see what Dave's all about.
See what it's about. Okay. Well, let's start by talking about the class, Financial Peace University. It's a 13-week class by Dave Ramsey, who's, you know, very well known within the faith community as, you know, having written books and developed courses, and is kind of the, I don't know, guru on finances within the faith community. But how is the course structured?
Well, it's funny because Dave is so charismatic. He used to be on Fox Business, author, as you mentioned, radio show host. So he's very charismatic, has a Southern charm to him, and so he takes personal finance and makes it entertaining. Usually two things that don't go hand in hand.
It's not usually the favorite topic for most anybody. Even if you're not having trouble, most people are like, I don't really want to talk about that.
And so he makes it really fun. And the thing is that the class is 13 weeks.
Okay.
It's a little bit of a requirement to come to something that long. But the fact is, each week he's talking about something completely different.
Okay.
We usually start off about how to save and the importance of saving. And we get into how men and women handle finances differently, which is a humongous just marriage binder. It just helps marriages left and right, because a lot of people that come in and taking the class, their marriage is struggling, you know.
Well, they say it's like one of the number one or the number one problem in a lot of marriages is finances.
Right. Money fights and money problems are the number one reason for divorce in America. And so if nothing else, that was one reason my wife and I we didn't want to be a statistic. And so that's why we're like, hey, we need something, we need some help. And so that's where this came into it. But every week he talks about something different, from insurance to the proper type of mortgage to have. Are you in the best career possible? Is that really where your gifts are located? So it's just not, I got to save money and I got to have a written budget.
Right.
We go into so many different things. And
so it's very well rounded. And it's actually structured so you're watching a video with him, and then there's dialogue, question and answer.
What we do is we kind of open up to a little bit of 5-10 minute discussion about last week's topic. Any questions? What did you guys come across? Then we break into a 60-minute video that is all Dave, and every week is just Dave. And so you're watching an hour of Dave, and then what we do is we break into small roundtable group discussions of usually 3 to 5 families, and then there's a workbook discussion questions of what we just watched. And so a lot of people will have questions of like, well, I don't understand why he would say that. Why would he say that? And so what we do is we have past Financial Peace University graduates. They're kind of walking around the class answering some of the questions that they may not have understood. But usually what Dave has to say is he's pretty clear cut. Yeah, he doesn't dance around topics. Yeah. And so people are able to dive into their past, or find out how the wife handled money as a child, or how the husband's parents dealt with it, or I'm divorced, so I'm all by myself. How do I incorporate this into my life? And
how do I fix the things we're facing right now?
It's transforming.
Right, awesome. Okay. Now the next session actually starts on May the 12th for the Financial Peace University, but you're having a preview night. So let's talk about that, because it's coming up pretty quickly. Right,
it's going to be April 28th.
Okay.
It's going to be 6:30 to 7:30. It's going to be 1 hour, and it's going to be at Southwest Community Church on the corner of Fred Waring and Washington. And ultimately, it's just come watch the video. We're going to kind of answer a lot of those questions that you have of, why do I want to take this class, and what's involved in the class, things like that.
Right.
But we kind of talk about the savings rate that people have, and how small it is now compared to a decade ago, and how it affects marriages, like it's the number one reason for divorce. Issues like that, of the importance of taking the class, and we kind of watch it, and people realize, it's not some accountant up there. It's Dave's out there.
It's not going to be 13 weeks of utter boredom. I'm not going to have to shoot myself with caffeine to get through it.
And we've had families come through, and the husband's just dragging his feet. He doesn't want to go, or the wife is like, honey, I don't really want to go. And then halfway through the class, they're like, wow, this is kind of fun and entertaining. And so then they get on board. And we've had some families, because once you sign up for the class, it's a lifetime membership anywhere there's a Dave Ramsey class in the entire country.
Wow.
So we have some families that have come through, taken it, and they're like, I wasn't really into it in the beginning, but now I see that it's working. I want to retake it and really get intense on it.
Yeah. And
then other times there's families that they're getting close to retirement, and they took the class 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Maybe they've moved out here to the desert, and they're like, well, my amount is going to change, so I need to
focus on something different this time.
I've lost my job.
Right.
We've lost our house, things like that, the way the economy is nowadays. And they're like, something needs to change, and I don't know how to change it.
I don't know how to fix the present situation versus where I was when I took the class. Okay, wonderful. Well, there is a cost to take the class, but how would folks, do they need to sign up for the preview night, or Do they just show up for the preview night? Are reservations required for the preview night on the 28th?
They're not required.
Okay.
We do like to know. We do have a large room that's facilitated for it,
Okay.
so they can just show up. That's fine. We prefer for them to actually go to SWCC.org.
Okay.
And under Purpose Center, there'll be a sign up for the class, and they can just register there. And that way, we kind of have a head count of how many people are coming in.
Okay.
But the class is $99. But the preview is absolutely free. Come and check it out. See if it's something that you want.
Okay.
It's $99. That is strictly just dealing with the material that Dave gets.
Right.
You know, you basically get a workbook that goes through everything. You get the audio CDs that are verbatim from the video. So if you happen to miss a class or you want to re-listen to something, you have all the material there.
Okay.
Basically have an envelope system, because we get into how to budget and how to go and shop. And basically Dave teaches, put a certain amount of money aside, put it in an envelope and go shop. And when that envelope is empty, then we stop spending until we get more money for that. And so you basically get pretty much everything that you really need to kind of get going.
Right.
All there. It's a one-time fee.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming in and sharing the information with us, and hopefully lots of folks from our audience will turn out for the free preview night and begin to change their families as well.
I hope so.
Okay. Thanks for coming in, Everett. We appreciate your time. All right. And stay with us. We'll be right back after.